Hi everybody, my name is Bill, and this video is an introduction to the course syllabus and Moodle for BA 210, Design Thinking and Innovative Solutions. I know a lot of times we spend the beginning of class talking about the syllabus and how we go through things, and it's just kind of an opportunity to kind of get our feet wet. Not a lot of people pay attention. So rather than wasting our very valuable class time, I decided that I would put together this video that I could go into a little bit more detail in and that you could have throughout the semester. So the first thing I want to do is kind of bring up the syllabus and take you through the course syllabus, some of the logistics, and how the class is going to run. I do have office hours, so if you want to get a hold of me, I will be available for sure Mondays from 12 to 1 and Tuesdays from 3 to 4. I'm also going to be available by appointment. I will make myself available anytime that I can, except the half an hour or an hour just before class, because I'm usually running around trying to get things together to make sure that I'm prepared to present to you all. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm on it constantly, most every single day. This class is set up a little different than a lot of other classes. There is a lecture where 31 of you will be all together on Monday from 3 to 3:50. And then we split into two smaller groups for two different, what I'm calling lab sessions, on Monday at 4:40 and Tuesday at 4:40. The lab sessions will be an opportunity for you to get a little bit more individualized instruction from me and just put a lot of time into the group projects that you're going to be working on throughout the semester. The course mission statement is, and a real key part of this is for students to use human-centered design and exceptional communication skills to design and build a supportive classroom environment that promotes creativity and diversity. And I know that it kind of goes without saying that you want to be put into a classroom in a supportive environment that does that. But we know that that's one of the most important skills for you to be able to thrive in the workplace environment, and for you to be able to create for the people that you're working with. And so we're going to dedicate the first 4 weeks to putting that together so that you get practice and start to identify the things that you need to do to put together, to work in, and to create that environment. One of the other points that I want to make is that I've posted this paper version of the syllabus. This is a point in time what we're intending to do. So in terms of what the guidelines for the course are, those are going to be pretty stable. But there's also a course schedule. And just by the nature of design thinking and by the nature of the fact that I have not taught this full course online, we may have to make some changes. And I can assure you they're not going to be frivolous changes. These are going to be changes in scheduling when things are due based on what we are able to accomplish in class and what I think are going to provide the best learning situation for you all. Very seldom will the schedule changes be a disadvantage to the students. Almost always it's an advantage for you to learn more or have more time to engage in a worthwhile activity. So the course is in 4 modules. The first one is creating that service-centered community of creative confidence. And on the syllabus here, you'll see a few things for each week. Certainly the week and the date of lecture and the 2 labs. There'll be a short introduction describing what we're going to be doing. And here on the syllabus, what I've done is I have put in all the assignments that are due for points throughout the semester. So you can start looking at what is due and when and what it might involve. Keep in mind, the syllabus is just one of our documents. The more detailed day-to-day kind of chronicle of what we're going to be doing, how it's going to be graded, and what you're going to be responsible for will be the weekly Moodle modules that we'll get into in just a bit. Important date coming up, the second week of class, the Labor Day holiday takes away the Monday lecture and lab for us, which means there will be no class that week for both sections, but there are going to be a number of assignments and things for you to be working on in your first temporary small group to help set up that community of creative confidence that we're trying to set up. The other thing that I'll mention too is a lot of the assignments that I have are going to be due on Saturday night at 11:59. That's not to bust up your weekend. Certainly you can submit these things anytime in advance. But the reason that I do that is because the students have told me that during the week they have a set schedule and they're kind of running around to keep track of 5 courses online. And sometimes it's valuable to have that weekend day to help get things together and to kind of breathe and to submit. So I also think it's a good way to end the week in the unit that you're working on at that point in time and then starting to look forward. So pretty much all of the assignments are going to be due on Saturday night, and that will certainly be posted, as well as the amount of points that it is worth. As I mentioned, communication is very important, as is reflection. It's a very Ignatian value, so understanding your values and where they come from and how they are going to contribute to the actions that you're going to take. The first major communication piece will be the story of self that's going to be due on September 26th. That takes us to the end of our module of establishing this community of creative competence. And then what we will do then is start to build our teams to address an issue throughout the rest of the semester. And by having the story of self here in the first 4 weeks, you will have a really good opportunity to get to meet and to know each other online that you would not have if we were just 31 boxes up on the Moodle page, okay? Number 2, the second module, third module, and fourth module all reflect the key components of design thinking as proposed by IDEO, which is our textbook that we're using for the book. So we go through the schedule, a couple of dates at the end. The culminating project of this class will actually take place in the last week. That's the after action plan. Lecture that week will not be a formal lecture, but I will be available for that 50 minutes. If folks want to workshop, if they want to get help, if they want to ask questions, you can use that as a study period for me to help you and for your colleagues to help you preparing for the after action plan that's going to be due in lab later that afternoon, or for the second group on Tuesday. The final will be a reflection paper. It is going to be due December 11th. December 11th is the final exam period for this course, and the final reflection period will be due at the exam time, which is 1 o'clock on that day. That is a time that I do not have flexibility with because of the way that the university schedules their final exams. You'll notice that there are resources and guides. I list every book and article that we're going to be using under this section. They're all there. A couple things that I want to point out. Number 1, the textbook that we're using is the Field Guide to Human-Centered Design by IDEO. This is available to you for free if you download the PDF. You just have to kind of set up an account with them. That'll take about 1.5 minutes. If having a PDF isn't your thing and you want a hard copy, you can go ahead and buy it. But I've spent a lot of time trying to put together resources that are open access so that you're not spending a ton of money on books. Everything that we're providing can either be a link, or if you should see something on this list where there is no link, I have it as a PDF, and that PDF will be posted in the module for the week that we're going to be using it. The David Kelly Interactive TED Talk is about 11-minute talk that I'm going to ask you to do here as we're going into the first week, and it's on this whole idea of creative confidence. You'll see that as you're going through the talk, there are little pop-ups that will come up that are just going to be little check-ins. It's kind of my way to let you know what I think is important going through that talk. There might be a multiple choice quiz or a fill-in, or kind of pulling words into the blank. It's not going to be graded. It's just an opportunity for you to be a little bit interactive with the medium and to make sure that you are getting the key points that I think you need to know to get kicked off on the right foot here for the course. So, as I mentioned, each week we will have a module that is set up in Moodle. It's going to look a lot like the syllabus. There'll be a week, the corresponding dates. There will be an introductory video each week, kind of like the one that you're watching right now, that'll kind of set up the week and what we're doing, kind of provide some perspective on what has happened in the past and how these things are all tied together. The assignments are not necessarily everything that you're going to do to be graded. The assignments is everything that's going to be expected of you throughout the week. And so what I have done based on feedback for the students is that I've set this up in 3 different sections. These are the things I would like you to be ready to do when you come to class. A lot of times that'll be reading. It could be a project or a worksheet or something that you're working on with your group that we're going to go over for feedback. These are the things that I would like you to have ready when you show up to class. Then there'll be some things that we're going to work on during class or during lab that day. And then between Monday or Tuesday and the next Monday or Tuesday, there are a number of things that I would like you to be working on as well, or after class. So for the first week, there's going to be a forum post that I'd like you to fill in, kind of give me some thoughts on the article by BYU on social presence and the interaction in the online classroom, kind of how we're building that social presence in that community. That will be due on September 2nd. That is not a Saturday date. That's more of an introductory thing. It's not worth any points, but it's kind of to build this online presence that we're trying to create with the class. It is a key point, though, for participation, so everybody does need to fill that out. And so you'll see when there is an assignment due like this, there will be a Moodle link for the forum post, and you can click on that. There'll be detailed instructions, there'll be a grading rubric, all the details about when it is due, and a mechanism to either fill it in or to turn it in, just like you've done in other Moodle classes. At the end, we're back to this term, resources and study materials, just like the one that we saw at the end of the syllabus, but this one is more module and week specific. So these are the things that you're going to be working on that I have told you to do up here, either before or during class, that we're going to be using this week. If there is a PDF that's needed, it will be posted in this area. And in this case, I'm asking you to watch the David Kelly video, and it's right here. All you have to do is click on that link. A couple of things with the conduct of the course. This is a different course than you have probably taken at Loyola, and probably a different course than you took in high school, unless you've taken a design thinking course, you've had something to do with IDEO. This is not a course where you can sit in class and just kind of listen to me talk for about 6 weeks, take a midterm, kind of relax a little bit, listen in class, take a midterm. This is a class that involves continuous engagement and participation. I'm going to ask you to be authentic and vulnerable and to kind of go outside of your comfort area, because that's where we start to see true transformative creativity. To do that, you're going to have to interact with your classmates on your group projects outside of class. That has been a surprise to a lot of students. And I know a lot of folks listen to that and they say, yes, we can get together, and it's kind of optional. It's not really. It is a big part of this class. In a 3-credit-hour course, it's reasonable to expect that you'll be spending 3 or 4 hours each week outside of class doing the reading or studying. And think about that. If you're in a law class with Father Brown, you know that you're going to be doing 6, 8, 10 hours of reading. Or if you're in a philosophy class with Dr. Biss, you know that you're going to be doing a lot of writing and reading throughout that. The way that this course has been set up is that the readings are quite short. They are articles. They're not 100-page assignments. And most of the readings are front-loaded to the beginning of the class. That is so that that time that you have outside of class can be spent with your group, collecting insights, doing the secondary research, putting your presentations together for when we get back together as a group on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I want to be very upfront about that. If your schedule or your learning style does not match that time commitment, you might want to consider taking another class or coming back to this course at another time when you do have the commitment. I'm just trying to be very upfront about it. I do think, though, that if you're kind of on the fence and you kind of think you would like it, that you should take it, because most of the feedback that we get from the students is that it's very, even though it's different, it's very rewarding, and that's what makes it rewarding. Participation is very important. One of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is that when we're in class lecture and when we're in lab is that you actively engage and that you have your screen on. We don't have the ability to be able to look across the table in person, and that's a really big deal. If that's an issue for you in general, or it might be an issue one day, right? Because maybe there's a lot of people in your house or wherever you're taking class from, or it's just not going to be possible for you because you're in an unusual space, just shoot me an email. We'll be able to work it out. Also know that by participating in this class, you're agreeing to being recorded. I'm going to record the lectures so that folks and you can go back and review the content, not just the study notes. So we will have those. If you have an issue with that, please get with me up front and we can make some accommodations. So the grading. First thing that you'll notice, there are a lot of assignments. The second thing that you'll notice is that they're not worth a lot of points each. I told you up front that this is going to be a different type of class. I'm going to be asking you to do things a little bit different or that you might be uncomfortable with. I'm even going to ask you to experiment and take chances and potentially fail. And in order to do that, there can't be a lot of risks and repercussions. So the way that the course is set up is that we have a lot of activities that are worth a very small amount of points each, so that if you have an absolutely colossally terrible day on one of these days, perhaps putting together your group planning worksheet, or maybe doing the presentation for your idea canvas, you might lose 2 points out of 5, right? If you were to have an absolutely colossally awful day on one of your 2 midterm exams that were worth 30 points, you may lose 15, 20, or 25 points. So this is set up for you to be able to take chances and to be able to engage. And one other thing too, if there is a 4-point forum post and you lose a point on it, and I can't find a way for Moodle to address this, you're gonna get a little ping and it's gonna tell you got a 75 and you might think that you got a C. It's 1 point. Right? It's 1 point in the entire course. All of these percentages add up to 100. It's not the end of the world. It'll be fine. You're going to make some mistakes throughout. If you consistently keep up with the material, you will be just fine. But that said, if you get behind early, and one of the ways that people get behind is they don't turn in assignments. And so if you don't turn in a worksheet or you don't do one of the forum posts, you lose 4 points for the post, but you also lose a participation point because it's later not turned in. And so that's 5 points that you cannot get, which means the highest grade that you can get in the class is a 95. That's the single biggest way and reason that most folks get behind here. But also note that if you get behind, there's no 30 or 40 point final at the end to bring up your grade. So the idea is that there's a lot of assignments that are worth a small amount. It's to encourage participation throughout the course. I just want to be very upfront about this, and I think the trade that I'm making is we have these small percentages so that we really can get you to start taking chances and maybe examine the possibility of some productive values and go outside of your comfort zone and not just do the safe thing in true human-centered design fashion. There a description of the assignments for all of these are here. One of the other things that I want to mention is that I said groups and teamwork was very important, not just for this course, but when you get out. And so when you look at it, the number of assignments that involve just you and your work individually is about half the course, it's 47%. The percentage of assignments that reflect your entire group is 53%. Now, again, you're going to have an opportunity to create and put your group together based on similar motivations, similar values, similar interests. One of the ways that I try to facilitate participation from all the group members is that, number one, there are a number of group projects, but there are also 4 group presentations. For each group presentation, the group itself will get a grade for the content of the presentation, right? That could be 5 points, or as we get to the hear me pitch and the after action plan, 10 or 15 points. The presenter also has 5 points for their ability to present the material. That grade is theirs individually. This is the rub. There's 4 presentations. There will be 4 of you in each group. Everybody has to give at least one of the presentations. So everybody has to be engaged throughout the entire process. But again, if you have an absolutely colossally awful day presenting, but your team has put together a good project, and maybe it's a 10-point project grade and a 5-point presentation grade, you might lose 3 or 4 points out of 15. It's not the end of the world. That's the way the course is set up. Grades are calculated according to university guidelines for rounding and cutoffs. Please note that I do not have any extra credit built into this class, and there will not be an opportunity for extra credit after the class. I have no latitude in being able to put that together and doing it in an equitable way. So I would encourage you to get off to a good start and just complete all the assignments, and you'll be just fine. You'll be just fine in the class. The learning outcomes are here. I take those very seriously, and I will be checking in throughout the course. This is my contract to you in terms of what we are going to cover throughout the course. If you're enrolled with DSS, please let me know. I cannot contact you. I'm a physical therapist. I also take this very seriously, and I'll try to make any accommodation I can. There's not a written examination, so in terms of time, there's not going to necessarily have to be an accommodation for that. But if there's if you have another accommodation, I'd be happy to work with you with that. I also have the expectation that, you know, we're working remotely, that you are going to follow and adhere to the Loyola Student Honor Code. As the instructor, I will adhere to those guidelines. Number of resources that you have. I would also say that if you're having an issue, you would get with me as well. One other piece here is participation, and I'll go back to that. There are 6 points for class participation. I don't have an attendance grade with an online offering because there's just so many things that can happen. But this is the deal. I understand we're in a pandemic. I understand that people are competing over space, and there's a lot of competing interests in the situation that we're in now. If you're going to miss class, all you have to do is let me know. Send me an email. It has to be you directly. Don't tell somebody else to tell me. But you're supposed to let me know that you're going to be on. It's not a problem. You get 2 excused absences. You know, I can even be flexible. If there's something that's coming up for a long period of time, again, if you get with me, I'll make any accommodation in this environment I can. I want to be supportive of that. If you have an unexcused absence, if you just don't show up, not a big deal, but that would be a deduction of one of the participation points. So again, if you let me know up front, I have never told a student no in 30 years, and I've never told an employee of mine if they come to me in advance that they cannot leave early or be excused for something. So just let me know up front so that I and your group can make arrangements for what we have to do in class that day. And then looking forward, this is the introductory section of Moodle. This is where you connected on this video. A couple pieces here. Announcements. If there is an announcement that I'm going to make for the class, if something is due, if there's a change in the schedule, if I really need to communicate with you, I'm going to use the announcement. So please set up whatever indicators you have on your Moodle settings so that you're getting your announcements forwarded to a place that you will look and respond. The course syllabus is up here. There's also a help discussion forum. I would really like to encourage folks to use that forum if they have questions about how things are working, if they have a question about the syllabus, what's due, go ahead and use the forum. I'll respond to the forum, but it's not just an interaction between the student and the teacher. This is an interaction between all 32 of us. So if you're looking at the forum and you can help somebody, or if you need help from a student about a potential solution, how they've gotten insights, different resources that they've used, go ahead and put that question out there. And the idea is that all 32 of us will be contributing to that answer. Another link to the course text so that you can download the field guide to human-centered design. There's a survey that I'd like you to take before class starts that will give me an idea, you know, simple stuff, where you're from, what your motivations for the course are, what your experiences are, and how you're feeling about a number of design thinking and creativity concepts. We'll do another test after the course. That helps me kind of direct my instruction to the students that are there. And it also gives all of us a way to see if there's been any growth and basically how we're doing, if we're doing what we say that we're going to do. There's going to be, I I would encourage you to go into the course preparation checklist just so you know and you've gone through that you understand everything that you need to be successful in this course. You know, watching this video, downloading the syllabus, understanding the expectations about groups, the grading process, making sure that we're all on the same page so that we can jump off on August 31st and have a great online learning activity. And so with that, I'll sign off. I will wish you the best of your last weekend of the summer and look forward to meeting you all virtually on Monday the 31st at 3 o'clock. Have a great last weekend.